Night has fallen over the stone sanctuary of Eleusis. Torches tremble in the cold air. The smell of seawater, smoke, crushed grain, and human sweat hangs inside a vast hall packed with initiates. They have fasted. They have walked for miles. They have been warned never to reveal what happens next. Then a priestess raises a cup. The liquid inside looks ordinary: water, barley, and mint. But the people who drink it are about to witness something that ancient writers struggled to describe. A vision so powerful that many reportedly left the sanctuary no longer afraid of death. For centuries, historians assumed the secret was religious theater. But what if the cup contained something else? What if the most sacred ritual in ancient Greece depended on a forbidden chemical process that turned poison into revelation? The Eleusinian Mysteries were among the most protected ceremonies of the ancient world. They were performed near Athens for generations, drawing politicians, soldiers, philosophers, wealthy citizens, women, foreigners, and even enslaved people who met the requirements for initiation. They came for one promise. After entering the mysteries, death would no longer seem like the end. The ritual centered on Demeter, goddess of grain, and her daughter Persephone, who was taken into the underworld. According to the myth, Demeter searched for her until the earth became barren. Crops failed. Hunger spread. Life itself seemed to withdraw from the world. Only when Persephone was allowed to return did the land become fertile again. It was not simply a story about the seasons. It was a story about crossing the boundary between life and death, disappearing beneath the earth and returning transformed. The initiates did not merely hear this story. They were meant to experience it. That is where the mystery begins. The central ceremony took place inside the Telesterion, a massive initiation hall built to hold thousands of people. Almost nothing certain is known about what happened after the doors closed. Ancient participants protected the secret with extraordinary discipline. Revealing the ritual could bring religious punishment, public disgrace, or death. The silence worked. Temples have fallen. Empires have disappeared. Libraries have burned. Yet the central secret of Eleusis remains hidden. We know there were sacred objects. We know words were spoken. We know light and darkness played important roles. And we know the initiates drank a ritual beverage called Kykeon. On the surface, Kykeon seems almost disappointingly simple. Ancient tradition describes it as a mixture of water, barley, and a type of mint. It sounds more like a rustic grain drink than a substance capable of making someone feel that they had entered the underworld. But there is one detail that refuses to disappear. Barley can become infected by ergot. Ergot is a dark fungus that grows on cereal grains. For much of history, people who consumed contaminated grain suffered terrifying symptoms: burning pain, convulsions, delirium, hallucinations, loss of circulation. In severe cases, death. This was not a gentle visionary herb. It was a poison, and that seemed to destroy the entire theory. If the priests of Eleusis placed infected barley into the sacred drink, they would have had no reliable control over the result. One group might experience visions. Another might feel nothing. Another might become violently ill. A ritual practiced for centuries could not survive if its central sacrament behaved like a game of chance. That was the strongest argument against the idea of a psychoactive Kykeon. The theory was dramatic, but chemically unstable. Then researchers asked a different question. What if the ancient priests did not use ergot in its natural form? What if they processed it? Recent laboratory work has explored whether materials available in the ancient world could reduce some of ergot's most dangerous compounds while preserving substances capable of affecting perception. The proposed method does not require modern machinery. It requires water, heat, and wood ash. When wood ash is mixed with water, it can create a strongly alkaline solution. Ancient people used alkaline substances in cooking, medicine, cleaning, food preparation, and the treatment of plants. They did not need to understand molecular chemistry. They only needed to observe that a particular sequence produced a particular result. Researchers tested whether ground ergot exposed to alkaline conditions and heat could undergo a chemical transformation. The result was disturbing. Some of the larger and more dangerous ergot compounds broke down. At the same time, simpler lysergic acid amides appeared in the mixture. That does not prove that the drink at Eleusis contained a hallucinogen. It does not prove that the finished mixture was safe. It does not prove that ancient priestesses knew the correct dose. But it shows that the old hypothesis may be chemically possible. And that changes the mystery completely. Before this research, the theory required reckless priests feeding uncontrolled poison to crowds. Now it suggests something far more sophisticated. A guarded recipe, a controlled preparation, a process repeated so many times that the people performing it knew exactly how long to heat the mixture, how much ash to add, what material to remove, and when the liquid was ready. They would not have needed scientific language. They would have needed tradition. This is how many ancient technologies survived. The craft came first. The explanation came centuries later. But there is still a serious problem. No preserved recipe has been discovered at Eleusis. No surviving inscription tells us to mix ergot with ash. No ceremonial cup from the central sanctuary has produced final proof of a psychoactive ingredient. Chemical possibility is not historical confirmation. The door is open, but we have not crossed through it. Then another piece of evidence appears far from Greece. At an ancient ritual site in the Western Mediterranean connected to the worship of Demeter and Persephone, archaeologists identified traces of ergot in a ceremonial vessel. Microscopic evidence of ergot was also found in human dental material at the site. This does not prove that the Eleusinian Mysteries used the same substance. The site was not Eleusis. The ritual may have been different. The contamination could have had another explanation, but ergot was physically present inside a sacred environment connected to the same divine story of death, descent, grain, and return. That is not proof. It is a clue, and this is the moment when the official explanation becomes less comfortable. If ergot entered one ritual associated with Demeter and Persephone, could knowledge of its effects have traveled through religious networks? Could certain priestly families have protected methods that were never written down? Could the drink have changed over time, with some sanctuaries using psychoactive preparations while others relied only on symbolism? Or are modern researchers connecting unrelated evidence because the forbidden drink is more exciting than the truth? Imagine standing inside that hall after days of fasting and ritual preparation. The doors close behind you. Thousands of people fall silent. You know that everyone who entered before you swore never to describe what happened. A priestess hands you a cup whose contents you cannot verify. Would you drink it? Or would you turn away, knowing that you might lose the one chance to see what the Greeks believed waited beyond death? Write your choice in the comments. Would you trust the priestess? Or would the secrecy itself convince you that the risk was too great? There is also a powerful argument that no drug was necessary. Ritual can alter perception without chemistry. Fasting changes the body. Darkness changes the senses. Repetition changes attention. Music, chanting, exhaustion, fear, expectation, crowds, sudden light, sacred objects, and the belief that one is approaching the realm of the dead can produce overwhelming experiences. The initiates may not have been intoxicated. They may have been psychologically transformed. A person entering the Telesterion already believed that Persephone had crossed into the underworld and returned. Every stage of the ceremony could have been designed to make that myth feel physically real. Perhaps the drink was only a final symbol. But here is the problem. If Kykeon was only water, barley, and mint, why was its preparation part of such a protected ritual? Why did the sanctuary control the ceremony so carefully? Why did the experience leave such a reputation across the Greek world? And why did participants speak of initiation not as a lesson, but as something seen? The most unsettling possibility is that there was no single cause. The vision may have been created by a complete system. fasting prepared the body. Myth prepared the mind. Architecture controlled the senses. Priests controlled the timing. Darkness created fear. Light created revelation. And the drink may have pushed the initiate across the final boundary. Not simply a drug, not simply a performance. A technology of belief. That possibility gives the Eleusinian Mysteries their real power. The ancient Greeks may have discovered that a human being can be guided toward a carefully constructed encounter with death, and then returned to ordinary life carrying a new certainty. The people who came to Eleusis were not searching for entertainment. They lived in a world where disease, war, childbirth, hunger, and the sea could end a life without warning. They wanted to know whether the darkness beneath the earth was empty. The mysteries gave them an answer. We do not know what that answer was. Perhaps they saw Persephone rise from the underworld. Perhaps they saw sacred objects illuminated in the darkness. Perhaps they experienced hallucinations shaped by the myth they already believed. Perhaps they saw nothing supernatural at all, but felt something so intense that language failed them. The laboratory has not solved Eleusis. It has done something more dangerous. It has shown that the forbidden drink may not have been impossible. Wood ash could have altered ergot chemistry. A ritual tradition could have preserved the technique. Archaeology shows that ergot did sometimes enter sacred spaces connected to Demeter and Persephone. Yet the final evidence is missing. The cup at the center of the mystery remains silent. Maybe that silence was the true protection of Eleusis. A written formula can be stolen. A temple can be destroyed. A priest can be questioned. But a secret shared by generations of initiates becomes something harder to recover. It becomes an empty chamber inside history, sealed not by stone, but by obedience. Subscribe if you want to keep opening the doors that ancient religions tried to close forever, because the next mystery leads beneath another Greek sanctuary, where the voice of a god may not have come from heaven at all, but from invisible vapors rising through cracks in the earth. And the question left behind at Eleusis is more disturbing than any final answer. Did the initiates truly see the underworld? Or did the priests learn how to manufacture an experience so powerful that for those who survived it, the vision became more real than death itself?